Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's all great and fantastic. How was your weekend? I had a wonderful weekend. So before I get started, go to the comments. Tell me how your weekend was. Did you get any gaming in this weekend? What kind of gaming? What did you play? Did you play with anybody? Or did you play by yourself? Let me know, because I love hearing from you, and I did a lot of gaming this weekend. And as you can no doubt tell from the thumbnail and the title of this video, I'm excited. I lost sleep. That's how excited I was. It has been almost a decade since I lost sleep over a project. I went back and watched some videos of me in 2017, and I talked then that I had been on the medication for 3 years. It's 2014. So, okay, a decade's hyperbole. Probably 7 or 8 years. Probably actually 2016 was when I did my Kickstarter. So yeah, 9 years. No, that's not how math works. 5 years. No. Anyway, some number of years greater than 5 but less than 10 is the last time I got so excited about something that I lost sleep. And part of that is because of the medication that I was on. It made me lose that drive. But if you watched Friday's video, which you should go do, I talked about reviving a game design, and I did, and I played it with M on Friday night, and I could not sleep. So, I'm going to show it to you. But before we talk about all that, check out this box I found at Walmart. This is like a standard board game size box, and it's just in the food aisle of all places, which is a very strange place. But I went looking for boxes to put prototypes in, and I found this, and I was like, this is absolutely perfect for prototypes. So I have the current prototype of Hedeby in this box. So I told you Friday that I found the files for Hedeby, and I made sure that what I have is up to date. I made one small tweak. Yep. Just one, a tiny little tweak to the rules, and we play tested it Friday night, and it went great. It went really good. Now, that being said, the game is not good yet. The game is fine. It's playable. It's a workable product, but I don't think it's ready. I think first of all, there's not enough cards. I think I counted, and there's like 27 or 28 different cards. There needs to be more like 60. At least. I don't want... Some of the cards are represented like 5 or 6 times. I don't want that. I want 2s, 3s, tops. Just a few copies of each card. To make it so that when you... So the way that you get cards in this game is kind of a draft. They're going to be it's going to be an open draft. But you have to have participated in the rating of Raric, which is what historically happened, in order to participate in that draft. And so I want that draft decision to be really important. I don't want it to be like, oh, I don't see the card I wanted, or you know, oh, there's the card I wanted. I want it to be much more like, oh, that could help me here, that could help me here, so that's a bigger decision. So I need a lot more cards so that I can have a lot fewer cards per deck. There's a few other minor tweaks that I want to make to the way the game system works. In this version, all of the cards are shuffled together into one big deck. And so like I just said, in order to get cards, you go and you raid Raric. And in the old version, there was 3 different places that you raided that had a defense of 4, 6, and 8. And all of that meant was this location had 4 cards, this had 6, and this had 8. So if you were playing with a bunch of people and 4 people were already here, maybe you put dudes over here because you want to get a card because this one's going to run out quicker or whatever. In the new version, these are going to be 3 separate decks. So one of the issues with the game, or maybe it's not an issue, maybe it just doesn't, because all the cards are shuffled together, on that first turn, I think Em and I both, we flipped over 4 cards that were just like end game cards. Like, nobody's going to take that because it's really expensive to build. I don't have a whole lot of resources right now, and it doesn't provide me a whole lot of functionality. Like, once I've built this thing, it just scores me points, which is fine, but it doesn't help me build towards the rest of the game. So I'm going to split those into three separate decks. So the first deck will be early game cards, things that will really get your engine started. The middle deck will be more utilitarian stuff, and then the larger deck will be the late game kind of scoring / big bonus type cards. And I think that'll make that phase a lot more interesting. But on top of that, I think that the dice currently aren't working. They work. They're just really confusing. This game functions a little bit like a roll and write. So you have locations. Say I want to build this barracks. This barracks costs a food and a stone. So when I roll my dice, if I get a food and a stone, I can build my barracks. But instead of being, instead of a roll and write where I would mark those off with a pen, I have little cubes, and I put my little cubes to mark that I got those. And this is one of the things that restricted players. You only have 6 cubes available. So if you're building out a bunch of cards and you put cubes out, you'll run out of cubes. You can't complete anything. You can't build ships. You have to start discarding stuff to get your cubes back. And it's okay, but it's really confusing for players because it's like, I spend this die, where do I set it? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to change a couple of the faces on these dice because I didn't. This is the original version of the dice, and they're actually been modified since then. This version modified these. I just never did it, so you kind of have to remember that they're different. So I'm going to change the dice symbology, and I'm going to get rid of this weird cube mechanism, and you're actually going to get resources and put resources on the card. So there'll be a wheat resource and a stone resource, and then you'll be able to pay this card off, which also it opens up one of the things that I've always had an issue with in this game is currently, because you use the dice the way that you do, there's not a convenient way for me to let you store resources between rounds. I could make it so that there's a card that has icons on it, and you would set your cubes on those icons, which means that later on you could use, but that's really clunky. With the resource, you roll dice until you're satisfied, you'll re-roll, do that sort of stuff. Then you'll get whatever those goods are, and then you can spend those goods, and anything you don't spend is lost. But it gives me the ability to allow you to store some of those things, have buildings that let you store goods, which I think is important in this game. So the thing is, the game works. I could not sleep because I was dreaming up new card ideas and fun new ways to make, interconnect a bunch of things. Right now, there is a bit of an engine, but it's really, really focused around re-rolling dice or setting the dice to something, not necessarily focused on how you spend them, or focused on interconnecting scoring mechanisms, so that if you have this and you have that, then these scores. I don't do any of that. It's really just focused on setting dice. That's the other thing. The resource manipulation stuff, right now, say I have a card that if I roll a wood, it lets me change that wood into food, right? And that's clunky because you're sitting here thinking about flipping these dice or whatever. I want the dice rolling part to be as fast as possible, and right now it's the biggest part of the turn because you're rolling and then you're deciding to re-roll or whatever. With that mechanism, with the goods mechanism, you'll roll your dice or re-roll your dice. That's it. You're not flipping these and setting them to anything. You're just rolling dice, and then you get to then you have goods in front of you, and you can decide what to do with them, and you can trade them in or whatever. So I think that I'll clean up a whole lot of that, and that was keeping me up at night. So I wasn't intending to give you a tutorial on how to play this game because it's not ready for that yet. We'll do that soon-ish. Ish meaning probably a month. I'm gonna have to play test on it for quite a while before I'm ready to really show it to you. But losing sleep felt so good. I know that's really weird to say, but part of it is because of how long I spent being kind of lost in the haze of medication. And in the past, I lost a lot of sleep all the time because I was anxious about everything. This was anxiety, but this was good anxiety. This was like excited anxiety. This was, oh, I want to work on it right now. I want to get up and I want to do it. And I did. I actually woke up at 2:30 in the morning and worked on the game. I tweeted about it. Like, I couldn't get back to sleep. I think I fell back asleep around 6 and took about an hour nap. Woke back up, worked on it some more. It was a really good day for that. And I'm really excited to push forward and see if I can get some of that energy that I used to have, that mania is what I've called it in the past, but I can temper it. Like, because hopefully the rest of my life, I don't really have a whole lot to be manic about. I don't have a whole lot to be anxious about. My bills are paid. I have a stable, very supportive relationship. My children are awesome. My work is great. So I don't have a whole lot of outside noise getting in the way, and I can just play with my new, my new old hobby, and be excited about it exclusively and manage the excitement so that I can sleep, because honestly, I need sleep. But I didn't sleep last night because friends came over and we played Dominations and Terraforming Mars until about 1:30 in the morning. So I'm really tired. That's all I'm going to do for now. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should notice sounds smart is grouse. It is a verb meaning to complain or grumble about one's situation. We decided not to return to the restaurant after the maitre d' continuously groused about the slovenliness of his waitstaff. Grouse, Grouse. I feel like this show has just been 6 years of me grousing.